environmental parameters, we'll be discussing some basic concepts related to air and water and the noise. So in today's class, I'll be discussing the air component, then I'll be discussing the prediction and assessment of the air environment. Then similarly, we'll be discussing with respect to hydrological cycle and water cycle. Then we'll be discussing with respect to the prediction and assessment of the water environment. So in today's class and tomorrow's class, I'll be considering the atmosphere of the earth, and after that I'll be discussing with respect to steps involved in prediction and assessment of air environment. So whenever we talk about atmosphere, we'll be coming in contact with so many gases. So we'll be coming in contact with ozone layer, we'll be coming in contact with meteorites, we'll be coming in contact with aurora. So okay, I'll just go one by one. So volcanic eruption, everything will be taking place almost within troposphere and part of the stratosphere, depending on the intensity of volcanic eruption. So overall, whatever the aircraft that will be moving around, they will be within troposphere. They will not be flying in the stratosphere, right? It will be of lighter density in the stratosphere. The density of the air will be lighter than compared to troposphere. As and when we start moving in the upward direction, so the pressure level also goes on decreasing. Anyway, in detail we'll be discussing with respect to all these pictures that I'm showcasing. So what do you mean by aurora? So where exactly the spacecraft will be located? Anyway, we'll try to understand these things in today's class. So when we are talking about troposphere, tropo means what? Changing sphere. That means nothing is constant in this sphere, right? Everything will be changing as the days pass. Will not be remaining constant, will be changing, right? So the air quality, everything will be changing. Temperature, the humidity level, the sunlight, you take any parameter, everything will be changing with respect to time, right? In the morning, whatever the temperature will be there, so the same temperature will not be there after 3 hours or 4 hours or 5 hours. So it will keep on changing. Same way with the sunlight. In the troposphere, it will not be same, right? So in the morning, 5 o'clock, right? If you check the sunlight, there may not be there, but in the morning, 7 o'clock, it will be there, right? Similarly, in the evening, the intensity goes on reducing. So everything here changes. Even the temperature changes from place to place. If you check the temperature of Belgaum and Mahabaleshwar, it will be different. So if you take a balloon and attach a thermostat, and if it is keeps on rising, right? The temperature with respect to the altitude also will not remain same. So everything will be changing in this troposphere, right? So tropo means what? Changing, right? So anyway, so whatever the balloons or your aircraft, whatever you consider, so all will be flying within the troposphere. Whenever we talk about troposphere, the thickness of the troposphere varies between 8 kilometers to 17 kilometer. 8 kilometer, it will be near the poles, and 17 kilometer near the equator, right? Why equator receives more amount of sunlight? You may ask me that question also. Because the thickness of the ozone layer will be less near the equator, and the ozone layer will be thick near the poles, right? So the person who named this particular thickness of the ozone layer was in terms of Dobson units. Okay, so on an average, we have a ozone layer thickness around 300 Dobson units. So this particular stratosphere has got ozone layer. The another name for the ozone layer, we call it as Chapman layer. Okay, so the thickness of stratosphere is around about 50 kilometers. So I'll just go back to the previous slide. So here The stratosphere thickness varies between 12 to 50 kilometer, right? So, so troposphere, it is round about, some people have mentioned 20 kilometers, some people have mentioned 18 kilometers. So I have considered the paper that is being published in the Science Direct. So he says it is round about 17 kilometers near the equator and 8 kilometers near the pole. So that's why I have just considered this particular value for the thickness of the troposphere. So just to name various spheres in the atmosphere, we'll be having the troposphere. So whatever the air that is surrounding us, wherein the flights or the aircrafts will be flying, balloons will be flying, clouds are there, all these things will be coming under troposphere. In the stratosphere, we have got what is called as the ozone layer. In the mesosphere, all the meteorites which would like to enter the Earth's surface will get diminished. So that will happen in the mesosphere. In the thermosphere, we have what is called as Kármán line. So this is the line which will be separating the Earth's atmosphere and the space. If the spacecraft has to exit this Kármán line, then the velocity of that particular spacecraft has to be 33 times the velocity of the sound. Then only it can exit this particular Kármán line. Otherwise, it is not possible. That is one of the importance of thermosphere. And we have one more thing that is called as aurora. Anyway, I'll be coming back to that. I'll give some more explanation on that. So that will be present in the thermosphere. This particular thermosphere consists of charged ions, and because of this, we can have what is called as the wireless communication system. And apart from that, we have last sphere, that is exosphere, wherein international space stations and other things will be located in this particular sphere, that is in the exosphere. So around 18 kilometer will be the thickness of the troposphere, 50 kilometer stratosphere, and if you check mesosphere, it will be between 50 to 80 kilometer, and thermosphere between 80 to 700 kilometer. And exosphere, if you consider, it might vary between 700 to 10,000 kilometers. So coming to troposphere, because when we are talking about environmental impact assessment, we'll be studying troposphere in more detail, because whatever the rainfall that will be taking place, whatever the snowfall, drizzle, whatever the type of precipitation it might be, everything will be taking place in troposphere. The oxygen that we inhale, that will be present in the troposphere, right? Thunder, storms, whatever the things that will be taking place, everything will be taking place in this particular troposphere itself. So the rainfall or the precipitation takes place either due to cyclonic action or orographic action, right? So, or it will be due to presence of convective type of rainfall. Have you heard about cloud bursts? So when we are talking about cloud burst, what exactly happens is there will be evaporation of the water. At the same time, condensation will be taking place. So that means the cloud is getting condensed, at the same time evaporation is taking place, and suddenly what will happen? Everything, the water that is being present in the form of water vapor will be getting condensed, and because of this, what will happen? All the water which is present in the water vapor form will be converted to liquid, and because of this, we'll be having cloud burst. And that one can happen only in convective type of rainfall. That means it can happen only in Kashmir. Okay, so that is how we can come to one conclusion. So why Belgaum doesn't receive snowfall? Because we don't have the ground temperature less or equal to 0 degree Celsius. So that is the reason. There are various climatic factors that need to be considered, and based on that, we can come to one conclusion that okay, these places can receive only the rainfall and hailstones or the drizzle or the fog, something like this. Whereas if you check the places like Kashmir and Shimla, so those are the perfect places for receiving the snowfall. Altogether, the snowfall, right, or the rainfall, drizzle, hailstones, glaze, sleet, all together, irrespective of that, the common term that we'll be using is precipitation. So that means precipitation consists of all the forms of the rainfall or snowfall, whatever it is. These are the forms of precipitation. Rainfall is a form of precipitation. Okay. Snowfall is a form of precipitation because it falls in the form of solid. Rainfall means it will be in the form of liquid. Again, based on the intensity, we can classify it as light intensity, medium, or moderate, or heavy rainfall, something like that. Okay. Even the droplet sizes will decide the intensity of the rainfall. The minimum droplet size of the rainfall will be around 0.5 mm and the maximum rainfall droplet will be around 6 mm. More than 6 mm droplet size you won't get because if it has to fall, then it will be of two droplets. You cannot find 8 mm water droplet. No, not possible. It will split into two. Okay. So that is how the things are going to be. So why I'm showcasing this particular diagram. So in the troposphere, what happens? Around about 6 to 6.5 degrees Celsius drop will be there with 1 kilometer rise in the altitude. Let us say a parcel of air is there which is rising from the ground level. The temperature of the parcel of the air is 40 degrees Celsius. By the time it reaches 1 kilometer from the ground surface, its temperature is going to decrease by, let us say, 10 degrees Celsius. Okay. So it totally depends whether we are talking about environmental lapse rate or we are talking about wet adiabatic lapse rate. When we are talking about environmental lapse rate, it will be 12 degrees Celsius drop in the temperature per kilometer rise in the altitude. When we are talking about wet adiabatic lapse rate, it will be having a drop in the temperature of around 6 degrees Celsius per kilometer rise in the altitude. Right? So that means there is a difference between environmental lapse rate, wet adiabatic lapse rate, and dry adiabatic lapse rate. Whenever we are talking about dry adiabatic lapse rate, there will be drop in the temperature by 10 degrees Celsius per kilometer rise in the altitude. Whenever we are talking about ELSR, that is environmental lapse rate, or ELR, there will be drop in the temperature by 12 degrees Celsius per kilometer rise in the altitude. Whenever we are talking about wet adiabatic lapse rate, there will be drop in the temperature by 6 degrees Celsius per kilometer rise in the altitude. Now, why we are discussing all these things, right? You might be getting some doubt in the mind. The reason is that, right? You might have seen during winter, we are going to have a smog problem. That means a combination of smoke and fog will form smog. This is going to cause eye irritation or it is going to cause the irritation to the respiratory tract. That means due to changes in the climatic condition or changes in the temperature of the air, that means we can have a environmental disaster or air pollution disaster. That means it's very important for an environmentalist to understand the air quality because air is a complex, right? Because it consists of so many gases, so many millions of the chemicals that are being produced in day-to-day market, right? So in that particular case, what will happen? So there are thousands of the gaseous products which will be discharged into the environment, and these chemical products which will be discharged from the industries are capable of having interacting with the air, and they will be forming a complex compounds in the atmosphere, that is in the troposphere. So to make you people understand about the basic component about troposphere, I'm just trying to showcase some of the photos. Whenever we are talking about meteorites, you might have seen some star is falling or something. Star will not be falling on the earth. Okay. So it will be a meteorite which would like to enter the earth surface by due to presence of the mesosphere, these meteorites will be diminished. So when we are talking about the spacecraft exiting this particular Karman line, right? So that means the Karman line is around 100 kilometers from the Earth surface. So if it has to exit, then it should have a escape velocity equal to 33 times the speed of the sound, right? So this is where exactly we'll be having the International Space Station around 200 miles, that is 322 kilometers away from the Earth surface. So this is what it will be like. If we are talking about temperature at various spheres, the temperature in the troposphere might vary between 15 to minus 56.5 degrees Celsius on an average, but different parts of the country will be having different temperature. So this value might change. Stratosphere. So in the stratosphere, what happens? With respect to increase in the stratospheric height, there will be increase in the temperature. In the troposphere, what happens? With respect to increase in the altitude, there will be drop in the temperature. When we are talking about mesosphere, why the meteorite will not be entering the Earth's surface? The reason is the temperature in the mesosphere will be dropping to minus 86.5 degrees Celsius. That is the reason why that particular meteorite will be destroyed or it will be cooled. Thermosphere. So here the temperature rises from minus 86.5 degrees Celsius to the 1200 degrees Celsius. And in the exosphere, we'll be having a temperature around about 1200 degrees Celsius. So we were talking about the Mount Everest, correct? Mount Everest height will not enter the stratosphere. It will be within the troposphere. All the clouds will be within the troposphere. So I told you that there are going to be something like aurora. So I'll just show you. So in the thermosphere, I shown something, a greenish colored shaded area. This is called as aurora. Okay. So in the Discovery Channel, you might have seen something like this. In some movies also, this will be shown. What is this? It is called as the aurora. Aurora, that means we'll be calling it as southern and northern lights. These primarily occur in the thermosphere. These will not be present in your stratosphere or troposphere. It will be present in the thermosphere. You need to understand this. So what kind of particles will be present in the thermosphere? We'll be having charged particles. It might be electron, proton, and other ions, right? They will be present. So they will be the charged particles from the space collide with atoms and molecules in the thermosphere at high latitude, exciting them into higher energy state. So that means that's why we call it as northern and southern light, because these charged particles will be colliding with the atoms and the molecules, and because of this we'll be having this colored, greenish colored light. Okay. So those atoms and molecules shed this excess energy by emitting photon of light, and which we see as a colorful aurora display. Okay, this is what you can see near the poles. So if we are talking about the temperature variation, that means Mount Everest. If you are talking about Mount Everest, so that means what will be the temperature at the peak? So around about minus 40 degrees Celsius will be the temperature at the peak of the Mount Everest. Right? In the troposphere, the temperature will go on decreasing. In the stratosphere, it keeps on increasing. In the mesosphere, it keeps on again decreasing. And in the thermosphere, the temperature goes on increasing. And where exactly the aurora will be found? It will be between the 100 kilometer Kármán line till the end of the thermosphere. So that is where we can find the aurora. That is that wherever there will be collision of the charge particle, we are going to see this particular photon light, right? If we are talking about pressure level, right, our Indian army will be serving the nation near Siachen or these particular high peak mountain. So what will happen over there? One of the challenge we are going to have is there will be drop in the temperature. See, if we are talking about mean sea level, why I'm talking about MSL, because there will be high tide and low tide. Which one to consider? So we'll be considering mean sea level. So near the mean sea level, we'll be having atmospheric pressure of 1, correct? So that is 1000 millibar. As and when we move above and above, the pressure level goes on decreasing, and because of this, the problem of the oxygen intake and availability of the oxygen will be at peak, right? So if you are talking about the pressure level at the peak of the Mount Everest, it will be around about 300 millibar. That means it will be a difficult task for anyone to go without the right oxygen mask and cylinder. Okay, this is what I wanted to discuss for today's class. I'll just stop. Thank you. If you have any queries, you can ask. Okay, then. Thank you. Thank you.